Beloved, many of you know that when we gather together on a regular basis, we have two worship services on Sunday. Our 11 o'clock service is a little more traditional. Our music is usually led by our chancel choir and piano and organ music, and it's a pretty liturgical and structured service. At our 8:30 service, however, we're led by a wonderfully talented praise band of musicians and a small praise choir, and they sing more contemporary worship type songs. We also have communion in that service every week. And so on this Maundy Thursday, a day we remember the Last Supper, the moment that solidified communion as a part of Christian practice for us, we thought it appropriate to also share a piece of music that comes from our contemporary service. So I'm going to read for you the Last Supper, first out of Luke and then out of Matthew. And between the readings, we'll have a musical offering and some images on the screen for you to focus on to reflect on that service. The music will be led again by our contemporary praise band from our 8:30 service with Julia Bird singing the vocals. Here now from the Gospel according to Luke, I'll be reading out of chapter 22. The day of unleavened bread arrived when the Passover had to be sacrificed. Jesus sent Peter and John with this task: "Go and prepare for us to eat the Passover meal." They said to him, "Where do you want us to prepare it?" Jesus replied, "When you go into the city, a man carrying a water jar will meet you. Follow him into the house he enters. Say to the owner of the house, 'The teacher says to you, where is the guest room where I can eat the Passover meal with my disciples?' He'll show you a large upstairs room already furnished. Make preparations there." They went and found everything just as he had told them, and they prepared the Passover meal. When the time came, Jesus took his place at the table, and the apostles joined him. He said to them, "I have earnestly desired to eat this Passover with you before I suffer. I tell you, I won't eat it until it is fulfilled in God's kingdom." After taking a cup and giving thanks, he said, "Take this and share it among yourselves. I tell you that from now on I won't drink from the fruit of the vine until God's kingdom has come." After taking the bread and giving thanks, he broke it and gave it to them, saying, "This is my body, which is given for you. Do this in remembrance of me." In the same way, he took the cup after the meal and said, "This cup is the new covenant by my blood, which is poured out for you. But look, my betrayer is with me. His hand is on this table. The human one goes just as it had been determined, but how terrible it is for that person who betrays him." They began to argue among themselves about which of them it could possibly be who would do this.
You call me out upon the waters, the great unknown, where feet may fail, and there I find you in the mystery, an ocean's deep, my faith will stand, and I will call upon your name, and keep my eyes above the waves. When oceans rise, my soul will rest in your embrace, for I am yours, and you are mine. Your grace abounds in deepest waters. Your sovereign hand will be my guide. My soul will rest in your embrace, for I am yours, and you are mine.
As we conclude our reflection together, I hope you've thought about the way Luke remembered that first communion, the Last Supper. Hear now the way Matthew records the story. On the first day of the festival of unleavened bread, the disciples came to Jesus and said, "Where do you want us to prepare for you to eat the Passover meal?" He replied, "Go into the city to a certain man and say, 'The teacher says my time is near. I'm going to celebrate the Passover with my disciples at your house.'" The disciples did just as Jesus instructed them. They prepared the Passover. That evening he took his place at the table with the 12 disciples. As they were eating, he said, "I assure you that one of you will betray me." Deeply saddened, each one said to him, "I'm not the one, am I, Lord?" He replied, "The one who will betray me is the one who dips his hand with me into this bowl. The human one goes to his death just as it is written about him. But how terrible it is for that person who betrays the human one, the Son of Man. It would have been better for him if he would never had been born." Now Judas, who would betray him, replied, "It's not me, is it, Rabbi?" Jesus answered, "You said it." While they were eating, Jesus took bread, blessed it, broke it, and gave it to the disciples and said, "Take and eat, this is my body." He took a cup, gave thanks, and gave it to them, saying, "Drink from this, all of you. This is my blood of the covenant, which is poured out for many, so that their sins may be forgiven. I tell you, I won't drink wine again until that day when I drink it in a new way with you in my Father's kingdom." Then, after singing songs of praise, they went to the Mount of Olives. Friends, my prayer is that today might be a blessing as you remember a God that loves you so much that God's own self shows up at your dinner table whenever you ask.